The Prophet Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl called Aisha. We often hear this accusation that Muhammad is a paedophile because he married a young girl. This question was raised by Olamide, who listens to these podcasts.
Hello, Paigham. It's nice to be here today. Oh, there's just a controversy I just wanted to clarify for us regarding Prophet Muhammad. Some people claim he's a pedophile because he married Aisha at the age of 6. Oh, can you please shed more light on that for us, please? Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Zaita Talk. Thank you for joining me. I'm Paigham Mustafa and today I will be speaking about child marriages. Aisha's marriage to Muhammad in particular. This, as many of you will know, is very controversial. However, the difference between this and other such discussions is that I take a look from a Quranic perspective, because it is only when Islam is seen through the unique prism of the Quran alone that it raises the measure of human endeavour. I'm an author and I've been researching and studying the Quran since 1988 and spent 2 years writing an exposition of this book. This rendition is different in a way that others are not. As you listen to my talks, you will get to know how and why, but primarily my contention is that what people believe to be in the Quran and what it actually says are two different things. I ask you not to let fear or hate prevent you from knowing the truth. Whatever your belief, the Quran is a compelling read. It's worth mentioning that my book is available from Amazon. The question Olamide asks is one that repeatedly comes up, but traditionalists cannot answer it with any support from the Quran. The subject of child marriages and paedophilia is distressing. Sadly, the marrying off of very young girls is a norm in some cultures, but this is in fact a crime against them, and this is why the Quran lays down some strict rules for marriage. The fact is that even those who profess to be Muslims are just as ignorant and inadvertently lend support to these views. There is a corpus of literature called Hadith that supports the view that Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6 years old, and that the marriage was consummated when she was 9 years old. This is from a Hadith compiled by Bukhari some 200 years after the Quran. Unless you have beans for brains, it's easy to recognize that such traditions are no more than fabrications. In fact, all Hadith hang on a very shaky nail, especially ones like this, which is in obvious conflict with the Quran. The Quran says that marriage is a contract, and for this to be effective, both marriage partners should be mature enough to consent to it. So this rules out marriage between those who have not reached puberty or those who are not mentally able to understand and agree to such an arrangement. The groom is expected to give his prospective wife some financial security, and this payment is called mahar. This means he should have an income. Also, the Quran decrees that a person should not marry anyone with lower principles. This is often interpreted that Muslims should not marry disbelievers. This is true in the sense that Muslims should have a high sense of probity, and therefore to marry someone with poor values would be detrimental to the marriage. The Quran lays out guidance for good conduct, raising the measure of individuals, because if individuals are good, then society will also be good. Therefore, it is important for marriage to take place between people who both have the same universal permanent values given in the Quran. A child of 6 will not be in a position to understand this. Where child marriages are practiced, it is often due to the culture and belief in Hadith. The Hadith, as mentioned, is a corpus of spurious stories written some 200 years after the Quran, which creates doubt about their authenticity. To show how the Hadiths clearly contradict the Quran, we can take this example from Sahih Bukhari, which illustrates a reoccurring accusation that Muhammad was a paedophile, as he supposedly married Aisha when she was 6 years old, and then consummated this marriage when she was 9 years old. Some Hadith also accuse him of sexual depravity because he had more than one wife. Neither of this is true, and the Quran clearly emphasizes the exemplary character, while the fabricated Hadiths sadly confirm these contemptible assertions and make him out to be a child molester. Such fabricated narratives are difficult, if not impossible, to defend, and no intelligent person would stoop to do so. Hadith advocates also, rather than reject this profane Hadith, defend this insane idea that Muhammad married a 6-year-old and then had sex with her when she was 9 years old. Even the celebrated medical doctor turned televangelist preacher, Dr. Zakir Naik, agrees with this Hadith that Aisha was 9 years old at the time of consummation. But he contends 9-year-old girls at that time were menstruating and mature enough to have sex. Dr. Naik's video is posted on YouTube for anyone to see that he supports this depravity and this slur against Muhammad. It's true that even younger girls have been known to become pregnant. However, these are exceptions. And to shamelessly say that most 6-year-old children are able to consent to marriage and 3 years later are fit both physically and mentally to bear children is a gross indecency, irrespective of culture and time. The idea that 9-year-old girls are sexually prime is perverted and cannot be supported by anyone who believes in the Quranic values. The Muslim population around the world is mainly illiterate and ignorant, so when someone of Dr. Naik's kind speaks with apparent knowledge, he is readily believed. In the land of the blind, one-eyed man is king. The Quran was revealed by God as a guidance to take people out of ignorance and to release people immersed in depravity. The real reason the traditionalists defend such vile hadiths is that to reject them would mean to reject the very foundation on which their beliefs rest, and this they would never do, despite the absurdity of the fabrications by Bukhari and company. Well, that's all for now. Don't forget to order your copy of this exposition of the Quran. It's available, as the saying goes, from Amazon and all good bookshops. Thank you for listening, and please like, share and subscribe. Goodbye for now.